Okay, well, I guess we'll begin. Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Drexler. I'm the town planner here in Orono, and welcome to the neighborhood discussion we're having here this evening, whether you're watching right now or you're watching a recording in the future. This should be available going forward to be used as a resource as well. So the purpose of this evening's discussion is to talk about an idea that was recommended in the town's comprehensive plan. And as you can see on the title screen here, we're talking about reducing the lot size and frontage requirements in the medium density residential district. So this was first, brought up as a recommendation in the comprehensive plan. It's been something that we've discussed at the town council committee meetings a few times now. But before it went to further along in the adoption process, because it's a change that affects an entire zoning district in theory, we thought it would be a good idea to have a kind of public meeting, more of an informal discussion. It's a little harder to do over Zoom. Usually we like to, do these in a room, where we can all kind of sit down and talk about different ideas. But we're going to try our best with this. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of give an informational presentation about the idea and the concept and why we think this change makes sense. And then at the end, happy to take any feedback that people have, answer any questions, and also have my contact information up. So if people are watching through this later, they can obviously reach out with any feedback and questions that they have in the future. So, okay. So first, I thought just a brief overview of why these standards exist in our zoning districts. So minimum lot size and minimum frontage requirements. They've been around for a long time as part of land use and zoning ordinances for a variety of reasons. Originally, some of them were to preserve some aspects of rural living when people were moving out of the cities and into suburbs, to kind of guarantee that they would have a certain amount of space on their lot. You're kind of keeping too much noise from happening, or you're having some privacy or some green space associated with your lot. Whereas, with no minimum lot sizes, maybe the lots become very small and people are really close to each other. Another, probably even bigger reason was from a utility perspective. Having certain minimum lot sizes guaranteed enough space that things like well and septic systems would function properly and safely. So that's where a lot of the original minimum lot size requirements came from. Frontage could also have to do with access and separation of one building from another building. But as we've gone on and we have more areas in town with public utilities, water and sewer, some of those concerns aren't as big of a deal. And while maintaining some of that rural character was good for certain things, communities realized that there were some negatives that became associated with some of these larger minimum lot sizes, creating bigger lots, wider lots. So some of those things include, raising the prices of land. So if you are guaranteeing that a lot be at least a certain size when it's created, then you're guaranteeing basically that the value of that land is also a minimum set amount, versus allowing for smaller lot sizes might allow for smaller, lower prices for land values. Having larger minimum, lot sizes and frontage could decrease the amount of housing opportunities. Think if you have a long street and a lot has to be so wide, the wider the lot, the more frontage it needs on that street, the less lots that you would theoretically be able to put on that street. And lastly, kind of going along with that same thought, it spreads the community out, and that creates a lot of the auto-centric environment that you find in a lot of suburban sprawl and things like that make it, communities more difficult to achieve walkability and, more traffic problems and congestion and things like that. So while spreading out may, seem good for the individual lot, sometimes, you're creating more space for that one lot, it can create, some other problems that then all those people have to deal with. So, but talking about specifically here in Orono, our medium density residential district, this is our zoning map of the whole town. You can see that the medium density residential district is primarily east of the interstate. It goes along Main Street as you come into town. It extends up Bennick Road and Forest basically until you hit the interstate or Stillwater Ave. And then it goes over the bridge, heading towards Park Street and extends a little up Park Street and onto College Ave. But this is primarily the in-town residential district. So if you look at, a little more specifically, how our ordinance defines the purpose of the district. So, why, every zoning district kind of has its own purpose, whether it's a commercial district, kind of low density residential district, or, in this case, we're talking about medium density residential. So it's designated for land where central water and sewer facilities are available, or where the installation of these facilities is feasible. So residential and other compatible and complementing uses are permitted in this district at densities dependent upon those utilities. And the district is intended to house the majority of the town's permanent residents. So this is really the MDR, I'll shorten it to that from probably this point on, is within the town's growth area. And it's really the main district where you'll find most of the housing in town, specifically single family housing. As you get to the commercial 2 area on Park Street, you find a lot of more kind of multifamily apartment style, but the MDR is primarily a single family residential district. So if we look at our current standards that we have for dimensional requirements in the MDR district, right now, for minimum lot area, all our dimensional standards for zoning districts are broken down into kind of 3 categories. You have those lots with off-lot sewer and water, which would be public utilities. You're receiving town sewer and water. Off-lot sewer or water, so you're getting one from the town and one on your lot. And then on-lot sewer and water would obviously be your septic and your well. So as you get further out into the rural districts, away from town, you're going to find more of those. But the MDR, as mentioned in that purpose, a few slides ago, is primarily a district to be serviced by town water and sewer. So we're primarily concerned with that, off-lot sewer and water line here. So right now, the minimum lot area in the MDR is 20,000 square feet. And the minimum lot size width, which is essentially frontage, is 100 feet. So if you look at the lot size, the lot area, the 20,000 square feet most likely comes from state law. that requires a minimum of 20,000 square feet for single family homes utilizing subsurface waste disposal. However, when we're talking about, that line that requires 20,000 square feet of minimum lot size, we're talking about in Orono lots that don't have subsurface waste disposal. They have town water and sewer. So that requirement for 20,000 square feet isn't necessarily applicable in that case. So it became something in the comprehensive plan that was noted as, being looked at more thoroughly and possibly being able to be adjusted. So from there, now we know, what the standards are, why they are what they are. We can look at, what actually exists in the medium density residential district. We have a lot of different neighborhoods in this zone in town. So there are roughly 1,100 or 1,200 lots in the MDR district. The median lot size in the district is just under 17,000 square feet. So if you recall, the requirement right now to create a new lot in the district is 20,000 square feet, but the actual median lot size in the district is only, between 16 and 17,000 square feet. So that means about 600 lots right now in the MDR district have a lot area less than our minimum requirement, which makes them all legally non-conforming, which basically means you wouldn't be able to create those lots today, but because they're in existence before that standard went into place, that they're allowed to continue to exist. So if you look at the graph on the right side, you can kind of see that there are a lot of lots under that 20,000 square foot mark. There are a lot of lots on the very high end, and that's because a lot of the undeveloped lots in the district are, they haven't been subdivided yet. They remain untouched because of, perhaps environmental or, natural resource reasons. So those are on the larger side. But if you really see the concentration of most of the lots, it's in that 5 to 25,000 square foot range, with a lot of lots being in the 10 to 20,000 square foot range, and even the 5 to 10,000 square foot range. So when you look at this, and I think we go into our established neighborhoods, in the MDR, whether it's Webster neighborhood or Sailor neighborhood or behind the Village Commercial, that area, and a lot of people like these neighborhoods, they enjoy them. Those neighborhoods are built a lot of times using standards that wouldn't be possible to replicate today. So that kind of was a something to kind of spur this on and to re-examine what our standard was. So these maps are supposed to kind of visualize what that last slide was showing. If you look on my pointer, if you look at this image on the left here, that's kind of showing the whole MDR district. So you have Main Street, Route 2 along here, and the interstates over here on the left side. You can see a lot of blue, which the blue is those lots over 20,000 square feet. But if you notice, a lot of those are really big parcels, and that when you get into the neighborhoods where a lot of the development actually is, you start to see a lot of the red and the green, which are lots, the red between are lots under 15,000 square feet, and the green are lots between 15 and 20,000 square feet. So on the right side here, the top right, we have Sailor development and a few surrounding, areas here. And you can see, these are established neighborhoods in our MDR district, and they're primarily composed of lots that don't meet our current standards. You can see the Sailor neighborhood is largely lots under 15,000 square feet. We have here mostly lots between that 15 and 20,000 square foot range. And it generally works that way, where a neighborhood would have, been subdivided or built at roughly the same time. So the lots will be similar on a lot of the streets. But in both cases, you have a scenario where you could not recreate this today if someone were coming in and looking at developing a new subdivision in town. And then, down here, this bottom right picture is the kind of MDR area surrounding the downtown Village commercial area. And you can see again, the Webster neighborhood is fairly mixed. But again, there's still a lot of red and green in there, indicating that those lots under 20,000 square feet are functioning fine, and that that 20,000 square foot minimum might not be necessary. Okay. So moving on finally to, so what did the comprehensive plan actually recommend? Well, as we noted, looking at the median lot size and kind of the average lot size of the district, the comprehensive plan made a recommendation to reduce the minimum lot area to better match the average or the median of existing lots in the district. So that would be a reduction from 20,000 square feet minimum lot area to 15,000 square feet. And at the same time, reducing the minimum width of a lot or frontage from 100 feet to 80 feet. And the thought with this is that it better matches our ordinance and our standards to what already exists on the ground. The goal of this is not so much to create an entirely new feel in the MDR, it's to better match our ordinance to the existing feel of neighborhoods that are already established and in place. As I mentioned before, those neighborhoods are often brought up and mentioned in conversations as very much positives for the community, and this change would allow whether it's an expansion of that character or new developments to kind of achieve that same feel as the character of our existing neighborhoods. This last bullet point kind of speaks to the frontage concept. So reducing from 100 to 80, just to give some context, our high density residential district has a requirement of 75 feet of frontage, and our Village commercial downtown district has a frontage requirement of at least 50 feet. So reducing the MDR frontage from 100 feet to 80 feet is a reduction, but again, it's not so drastic of a reduction that it's out of place with what's kind of already in place in the rest of town. And the next couple of slides will show some visual examples of lots that exist in the MDR right now that sort of meet these proposed standards. So first, we'll talk about the examples of some lots that already meet that, in general, 15,000 square foot lot size. So if you look at on the left side here, we have College Heights, which is a street in the medium density residential district. You have 9 lots on College Heights between 13 and 20,000 square feet. But if you can see by looking at the satellite imagery here that they're spaced out single family homes with yards and driveways, and so all those reasons that we talked about at the beginning for having minimum lot size requirements, the advantages of doing that that's still in place. You know, you're still able to achieve those benefits at 15,000 square foot minimum lot size versus our current standard. And on the right side here, again, you have this time Sunset Drive, and the right side of the street here, pretty much all of these lots until you get to the very end of the street, I think, are around, I think, a little over 14,000 square feet. So again, primarily single family homes. Sorry, I saw some chat notifications there. It's a little hard for me to read the chat and screen share at the same time, so I will get to all questions and comments at the end. Only a couple slides left, I think. So, yeah, so as I was saying, you know, the lots on this street, around 14,000 square feet, you know, you wouldn't be able to recreate these today, but here they are still giving off that same kind of single family residential feel, even though they don't meet the current standard. Okay, the next slide here is giving some examples of the lower frontage requirement that already exist in town. On the left, Sunrise Terrace shows several lots along the street there with frontage around 80 feet. You know, you can see that there's still space. There's, you know, not an overabundance of, you know, cars parked on the street or, you know, close together. There's not, the houses aren't right on top of each other. You know, you're still able to achieve that, that kind of nice neighborhood feel with that sort of dimensional requirement with the 80-foot frontage. And same for Pinewood Street in Sailor neighborhood. Most of the lots on the street either had 75 or 80 feet of frontage. So the purpose of this change, you know, as we mentioned, you know, it's matching our ordinance better to what exists on the ground. But, you know, in talking about really what the benefits are of lowering frontage requirements and minimum lot sizes, it does a few things. One, it creates more flexibility for property owners. You know, if you have a lot that's, you know, 30,000 square feet, let's say, you could, you know, turn your single family home into a two-family home. You could add a small apartment in your house and rent it out to a family member or a student or, you know, someone to provide some extra income and provide a housing opportunity for someone who might be looking for it. You know, you also have the option, if you have a lot in that 30 plus thousand square foot range, and your house is situated more to one side, and you know you don't think you need as much land as you do, you could divide your lot in half and have someone, you know, build a house on the other one. It just provides more flexibility for property owners as well as anyone looking to develop and create new lots. So going with that, it also allows for more affordable land values when creating those new lots. So if someone is, you know, buys a piece of land in the MDR that's a few acres and they're looking to put a few houses there, you'd be able to maybe put in one or two more lots with these dimensional requirements versus our current standards, while at the same time not creating you know, a neighborhood so uncharacteristically dense that it doesn't fit in with the rest of our MDR districts. So it would still, that's really the key, is that balance, you know, allowing for some more development and inclusion of more housing lots to lower some land values, but at the same time, not necessarily changing the character of the district so much. Okay, so moving on. Now, getting to what this amendment would not change. So we've talked a lot about the dimensional requirements, but something that this recommended change wouldn't affect are uses. So right now, the medium density residential district is primarily designed for single family homes, and two-family homes are also allowed, although two-family homes are required to receive planning board approval before being permitted. However, in the MDR, multifamily structures are not allowed. Multifamily structures are any structure with more than three or more dwelling units inside of it. So this change would not impact that. So while you're talking about reducing lot sizes and perhaps adding in a little more density, that doesn't mean that the uses allowed are changed. So, you might have a few more lots that could potentially go in on a street, but those lots would still primarily be single family homes or two family homes. The MDR district is supposed to be, as we go back to the purpose at the beginning, more of a kind of family, long-term, permanent resident type of district. Our multifamily is zoned more in our commercial 2 district and the downtown area and things like that. So this would not impact that. And two-family homes, your duplexes, things like that, would still be required to go through the site plan review process. And with two-family homes, it would still remain the same as it is now, where you need twice as much minimum, you need twice as much lot size as you would for a single family home. So, with this change, a single family home would only be required to have 15,000 square feet for a lot to be created. A two-family home would need 30,000 square feet. And again, the change doesn't aim to affect the character or purpose of the district. It really aims to build upon and kind of improve and allow for an extension of what's already built in our MDR district. So just wrapping presentation up, and then I will get to all of the comments and questions that I saw coming in, I think. The next steps here will be to, obviously, I will gather any feedback here tonight, and of course be available for people to reach out going forward. We plan on reporting whatever we talk about here this evening back to the town council at the committee level, and then making any adjustments if necessary, and then from there continuing on with an adoption process for the ordinance amendment, and that would of course involve some public hearings through the planning board and town council. But with that, there's contact info that, for me, if anyone has any feedback going forward, we'll put this presentation up. Obviously, it's on the Facebook page, as well as we'll probably link to it on the planning department page. But with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and look at some of the comments that came in. Okay. All right, so we have a few comments here, so I will just read through them as they were in the chat. So the first, Now, don't the smaller lots have frontage closer to 50 feet? Smaller lot frontage allows more houses per linear foot of street that the town needs to maintain. The data shows that changing the minimum lot size to 15,000 square feet means that many lots will still be non-conforming. What is the frontage for homes in the Sailor district? Okay, so I'll touch on this one first. So there are, in the MDR district, there are a variety of frontages and lot sizes. The examples I gave are certainly not inclusive of every single lot because there are a lot of different types. From memory, I can probably give specifics of, as per things like frontage for homes in Sailor neighborhood, because every street will have different frontages. The comment about smaller lots having frontage closer to 50 feet, I think some of them probably do. However, I think an important thing to mention, so with this change, this was a change that was recommended in the town's comprehensive plan. And any zoning change that a municipality makes, it's state law that it be consistent with its comprehensive plan. So while there may be lots in the MDR district that are under 15,000 square feet and have less than 50 feet of frontage, the comprehensive plan made a specific recommendation, and to go lower than that or create standards with higher levels of density, that would not really be consistent with what was said in the comprehensive plan. Now, that's something that can be addressed through amending the comprehensive plan or in a comprehensive plan update through public meetings with the community if there was a desire to have the MDR be a higher level of density. But that's not something that can as quickly be done just through a simple ordinance amendment. And speaking to the point that some lots will still be considered legally non-conforming, yes. If this change were to go through and the minimum lot size was 15,000 square feet and the minimum frontage was 80 feet, then yes, anything under those minimums would still be considered to be legally non-conforming. It should be pointed out that legally non-conforming lots can still exist and operate as they always have, and you can even build upon a legally non-conforming lot so long as you meet all of, you're not making your lot more non-conforming. So, if you have a single family home on a 10,000 square foot lot, you can expand your home so long as you're not, encroaching on a setback requirement or something like that. But just because your lot is legally non-conforming doesn't necessarily mean that you can't, do certain things with your lot. Okay, moving on to the next question. Again, what is the road frontage in College Heights? Those lots are mostly narrow and deep, so probably not very wide. Let me see if I can. It seems, I'm looking at the, a copy of my presentation that I just gave, and the slide, showing the image for College Heights shows that those lots mostly have 100 feet of frontage. There could be, it looks like there's some that are more and some that could be a little less. But again, you know, every street could have slight deviations. And so it would be, I think, difficult to, you know, apply one standard that would meet every single lot. But in that case, those are roughly the frontage that our current ordinance would allow. Okay, so I will move on. Okay, Catherine, I see your question now. So Catherine asks, how would these changes improve the ability for in-law apartments or second structures, tiny houses being allowed on a lot in the MDR? Okay, those are both interesting topics, so thank you for that. So the idea of an in-law apartment, I would say one is somewhat addressed already in our ordinance. So we have something called accessory dwelling units, which is, you know, basically the same thing as an in-law apartment. Accessory dwelling units are allowed currently for as accessory uses to single family homes with owner occupants. So if you live in a single family home, you know, you are potentially allowed right now, without talking about these changes, to have an accessory dwelling unit that could be either attached to the structure or in a separate accessory structure. There are certain standards in our ordinance now that accessory dwelling units have to meet. You know, you can only have, I think, 2 people in the ADU. It can't be more than 500 square feet, things like that. There's some other things, but I encourage that if you're interested in that idea, that you could reach out. You know, you could either look at the ordinance online on the website, or reach out to someone, myself, or, you know, community development here at the town, and you know, we could discuss something further. But with this change, the way that it would potentially help aid in something like that wouldn't be for a second structure so much, but for dividing an existing structure. So right now, let's say, right now in the MDR district, if you wanted to have 2 dwelling units in your home, in your structure on your lot, you would need 40,000 square feet of lot size, you know, because you would need 20,000 per dwelling unit. So this change, switching it down to 15,000 per dwelling unit, would mean that everyone right now who has a lot in the MDR between 30 and 40,000 square feet would now be eligible to convert their single family home to a 2-family home, which is not currently the case. So there are potentially, you know, a decent amount of people that might be an option for. And when you're creating a 2-family home, you know, you could create it at whatever size you want. So if you wanted, you know, one of your units to be the main residence, and, you know, the second unit to be smaller residence, then, you know, you could do that. So I think that would be one way that this could kind of go in favor of that idea. But again, if you're interested in the concept of accessory dwelling units, then I would look into our current language. I think a follow-up to that, aren't there parking minimums for ADUs so that people who own small lots would not be able to have an ADU if they have no room for the parking? Yes, so there would be a minimum parking requirement as part of having an accessory dwelling unit, just as there are minimum parking requirements for all dwelling units in town. If someone, wanted to build a single family home or a 2-family home, the town in the ordinance, we have minimum parking requirements per dwelling units. That is something not attached to this change that will probably be looked at sometime in the future. But that would be something that would need to be considered, when you're looking to add multiple units or more units than what you currently have on your lot. You would have to consider room for parking or finding agreements for parking elsewhere. If you're close enough to another parking area where you could have some of your parking provided. Does anyone else have any questions? Kind of. Oh, okay. Okay, Catherine, I think I can let you speak here. I see you're raising your hand. 1 second.
I didn't mean to raise my hand, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, though.
Yep, thanks for attending. Okay. All right, well, I'll leave it open just for another minute or two here, just to see if any other feedback comes in. Yeah, so just to kind of wrap things up and summarize, I want to thank those of you who came by. I know this is not the easiest way to do one of these discussions. It's certainly not ideal and how we want to necessarily gather feedback and have that communication, but I hope this helped to provide some information and give the opportunity for people to voice some of their feelings towards it. Again, I'm available by phone or email if anyone watching this at a later time has any contact, or if they want to have any contact and reach out. Happy to do so. I'm happy to talk about any zoning questions or questions relating to how you might be able to do different things like accessory dwelling units or adding a second unit to your home, and kind of walk through the process within the ordinance of doing that. Okay, so Catherine followed up saying, question was more theoretical and like to see the town move towards an aging and disability friendly community. ADUs and flexibilities are important for that. Yeah, I agree. I think our existing accessory dwelling unit standards were added a little while back, and I think it was a good start, and is something that I'm not sure that everyone is realizes is an option. So I do think that's important for people to realize. I think this would be an option for creating additional units for a certain group of of lots within the MDR district. I would just also like to plug, we are having another meeting next Tuesday, the 24th, I believe. Yes, the Tuesday, the 24th at 6 p.m. And we are speaking to a similar follow-up concept to this that was mentioned in the comprehensive plan in the Village Residential Overlay District. So the comprehensive plan sort of had a two-step approach to housing and some recommendations towards providing more housing in town. And this was one of those, and the other one was the creation of a Village Residential Overlay District, which is a more optional type of incentive-based district where that would try to encourage owner-occupied housing, but on smaller lot sizes, so smaller than this 15,000 square feet. So if you're interested in that kind of 5,000 square foot, 7,500 square foot minimum lot size, kind of closer to the downtown area for those neighborhoods, then I would encourage everyone who's interested in that to tune in on Tuesday at 6 p.m. For that discussion, as that'll be a little more conceptual and a little bigger of a change than what we were talking about this evening. Okay, and then, just last, get a follow-up comment from Lori talking about, again, the parking minimums maybe needing to be adjusted to accommodate ADUs, as ADUs are also often being developed for people who don't necessarily drive. So they might not need that same level of parking that a certain other use might use. And again, I don't disagree that that's a valuable conversation to have. It just, this change of the ordinance won't really touch on accessory dwelling units. And I encourage anyone who's interested in that concept to kind of keep raising that issue through different kind of discussion times at public meetings. Okay, so with that, I think I will end the meeting. Again, thanks everyone for coming or watching in the future. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and let us know. All right, thanks.